Hello. So yeah, this is the Christmas Eve modeling live stream. I hope you're all well. I hope you're all ready for the big day tomorrow. I hope that you all have a nice Christmas. And yeah, so today is kind of just more of a test read as well to see how this goes because I plan on doing more live streams in the future, hopefully, if they work out pretty well. I'd also like to get into doing videos for the channel as well. So there was one uploaded yesterday, which was one I did years and years ago as a test video, which was on one of my other channels previously, but I thought I'd just upload it onto this channel, for the viewers to see. Try and keep all the Thomas stuff on the one channel. So yeah. So today we are doing some work on Annie and Clarabel. For those who haven't seen on Twitter, I did post a picture of Annie with her handrails. Clarabel still needs a handrail, so we will be inserting the handrails on her today. There's also a little bit of work to do on the insides of it, on the interiors, because although I've got all of the seats cast into resin, before I can put them inside, there's some work on the interior. So what I want to do is currently the interior is kind of painted more so sort of a sorry about that. Sort of like an orangey sort of color, where it's obviously had the spray over from the outside. Um, so what I want to do is paint all the insides black, so that I plan on having lights inside them eventually. So because it's 3D printed material, the light can shine through. So what you would, if you had lights inside, you could potentially see kind of the outside glow up, which would kind of ruin the effect of the lighting. So by painting it black, it absorbs all the light, so only the light will go out the windows. So that's kind of today's plan. And then kind of give you some future updates on other projects that are coming. So if I'll switch over to the modeling cam, which is here. I'm just going to copy this, and then you should still be able to hear me okay. So I've got a second camera set up here. Hello. Um, and then hopefully this is a good enough angle. This is kind of the best I can do for now. I hope to have a better setup in the future, but this is kind of, you know, good enough for now sort of thing. So I've got some of the brass wire here, which is what I use for the handrails. This is just some, I believe this is just 1 millimeter thick brass wire. I think I actually got this off Amazon. Just a roll like that. We've got some obviously wire cutters. Um, some pliers so we can actually bend it. And then, of course, we have Annie and Clarabel themselves. I've got this kind of black felt material which I was used from a different project, not Thomas related, which will just provide a nice surface so that we don't damage any of the models. I think everything. I've got a cup of water there. I've got my paintbrush ready. Um, Hopefully you can see that. I don't know about I don't know. This camera should have autofocus enabled, but maybe I need to adjust some settings. I don't know. We shall see as things go on. Um, I've also got a hand drill, and then some drill bits. I'm gonna see if I can adjust the autofocus. I'm using my old phone as a USB camera, so the settings for it are on the app, which the screen is a little bit covered right now. So I'm just going to see if I can adjust. I meant autofocus was turned on last time I used it, but clearly the app resets itself when you open it, which is a bit annoying. So let me just see if I can do anything. Um, hopefully, hopefully that works. Yes. No. There we go. There we go. Managed to just about There we go. And she's just about kind of. I've got it in a desk mount, and the screen is facing like the other way. So the screen is actually covered by the mount. So I managed to just slide it enough where I could tap the screen. So yeah, I think let's get going. So I'll show you Annie in her current state. So oops. So here is the roof. Let me just minimize some things so I can see the chat. Your models look so good. It was a real treat to see them in person at Bournemouth, says Luke Rossi. I hope that pronounced your surname correctly there. Um, Thank you for the kind words. That was yeah, it was a real treat to do those shows, and we did have one planned for this year in Swindon, but obviously that didn't happen because of COVID. So so yeah, thank you for the kind words, and that means a lot. We'll do more shows as soon as we can. So yeah. So this is Annie's roof. You might be able to see there's actually a crack in there, which I've patched up underneath and kind of put a little bit of reinforcing material. This was actually from an accident when I first got my cat. He kind of climbed up onto where Thomas and Clarabel were stored, and he knocked them off the shelves, and they fell about 4 or 5 feet onto my desk. And fortunately, only the two little front bits from Thomas came unglued. Annie and Clarabel were pretty much fine, apart from their roofs were a bit cracked. So, so that's kind of where I've repaired it, and yeah, on it was so the show at Coventry, no, it was Bournemouth even. It did have the cracked roofs then, but I managed to repair it in a good enough way where you couldn't really see them from the distance you were seeing them. But I do plan to print some more roofs, so which are going to be have all this structure. Going to all be 3D printed inside. It's going to have a proper structure 3D printed. And those are the same roofs that I actually released in my 3D files of Annie and Clarabel. So that'll be cool. I'm going to get myself a resin printer so that I can print the little roof vents. So I'm going to put that over there for now. I'm going to take the roof off Clarabel as well, just because they're quite fragile. So you might be able to see there's a repair there as well. But yeah, and as you can see, all the vents are individually glued on. Pretty cool. So this is Annie, and you can see she's got her handrails in, where the camera's focusing, but there we go. I believe Annie also had, yes, Annie was the one that also had her buffer broken off at the back, which I've repaired, and that's using some epoxy, so that should be pretty rock solid. There's the face. So yeah, you can see inside where I basically started to paint it black. These bits kind of here, these patches, that's where the seats are going to be taped onto. So I figured there's no point painting behind the seats, you're not going to see them. Plus also the tape, I'm going to use double-sided tape so that I can easily take them out again if I need to, so that the tape will stick better. But you can see there I've started painting them black, and you can see the sides there still need some work, but that's going to need a little bit of a thinner brush. It's going to need to be a bit more careful work so that I don't end up the paintbrush coming through the windows and onto the orange on this side. But yeah, the chassis also had one of the 10mm kind of the top kind of leaf spring bit of the axle box broke off, but again that's just been glued back on. So yeah, at some point I'm going to redo these chassis slightly anyway. I'm going to use bolts to secure them in, some thicker bolts rather than these kind of really thin screws we've got at the moment, which are a little bit there's a little bit too much play in the plastic and the bolt than the screws. But so this is Clarabel. You can see we've got the handrails to do, and we've also got the windows to take out. So there's Clarabel there as well. So the first thing I'm going to do actually is I'm going to take off the chassis, which there are two screws inside, which go to the two screws underneath. You'll also see I've also attached some weights to Annie and Clarabel so that when they actually run on track, there's a little bit more weight to hold, like push them into the track, so they run better. So this is currently, what's this? This is 15, 30, 45, 60. So that's an extra 60 grams of weight in there. And these was just some weights I bought off I think eBay actually. You just buy like a 2 sheets worth of magnets, and they come in 10 and 5, and then you just stick on however many you need. So hopefully that will be enough. If not, I can add some more. I figured I'd start with 60 and then add more if need be. But what I'm going to do is remove the chassis. So I'm just going to take these 2 bolts off underneath, or take the nuts off the bolts, and then that will allow me to remove the chassis so that I don't damage that whilst we're doing work on the body. So let's just take that off. Oops, as I knock the microphone again. I am also recording this stream locally, so hopefully I might be able to either do some edit of it, or, you know, if need be, for whatever reason YouTube doesn't keep it, or the YouTube quality is just blur, then I've got a copy of it as well. But the stream will be available to watch afterwards as well. So if any of you who are not able to tune in live and are watching it on the replay, hello. But yeah, the streams will all be available to watch afterwards. So no problems there. And this is also a test for time zones, because obviously I'm in the UK, so currently it's just coming up to 4:20 in the afternoon. So I wanted to try and pick a time that was not too late for me, but hopefully not too early for those of you in sort of America and the, you know, further west. So I looked at the kind of the Eastern and Pacific time zones, and hopefully, you know, it's sort of morning for you guys, so hopefully it's not too early. But yeah, that's just what the chassis looks like about the body. It's literally just, you've got a sheet of wood on top, and then you've also got the thin bit of wood for the steps, and then you've got the plastic 3D printed chassis insert underneath, and the weight. So yeah, and that's not say when the bolts are taken out, the 3D print chassis can actually come out. So I just need to be careful that it does kind of pressure fit in there, but the weight of it is enough. If you jiggle it around too much, it will just slide out, and obviously you don't want your wheels going crashing into the ground. So there is Clarabel without the body, without the chassis even. And that's just a thin bit of, so the walls are all 3D printed, and this is just a bit of plastic card, a bit of styrene, that's just holding it together. So the windows are just plastic sheets, which if I take one out here, if I just gently press on it, these are just double-sided taped in. So again, I deliberately did that so they were easy to take in and out, and this tape's actually pretty strong, so they don't come out easily. So you can see there, it's just a sheet with some strips of double-sided tape on it. So I'm going to go ahead and take out all of these windows. And let me know if there's any problems with the video or audio or stuff during the stream. I've done a couple little tests just before I went live, and it seemed okay to me. So hopefully you guys can all hear me okay. Everything all looks good. So there's all the windows for Clarabel. I've also got Annie's is all kind of just there as well. So I will keep that over on this side. We'll take a quick drink. And yeah, so the next thing is to basically get the handrails on. So I think what I want to do is I could start with the paint job on the inside, or I could start with the handrails. I think what I'm going to do is I'm going to start with the handrails and drill the holes in where they need to be and bend the handrails. But I won't actually glue them in yet. And then I'll do the paint on the inside, and then I can then once all the paint's done, I can then glue them in. In fact, although to be fair on Annie, I did glue them in before the sides paint job was done. So I think I'm gonna do the handrails, won't glue them in, do a little bit of the paint on the inside, and then I can glue them in. Otherwise, it just means that if I'm painting and then with it on its side like that, it's going to be pressing up against the handrails. So let's start with some brass that will cut. I'm just going to guess kind of the length I need. Let's just say that length. And you'll see, obviously, because it's curved, because it's in a kind of a roll, you'll see that the brass itself is curved. So we're just going to straighten it out a little bit. Now this part I do with my fingers just so it's a gentle straightening, because if you use the pliers you can put a kink in it. So I'm just going to, it doesn't need to be 100% perfect because we're going to bend the handrails anyway, so we can straighten it out after we've done that. But we want to get it roughly kind of straight to begin with, just so it makes it easier for us to get the right bend and length of material. So you can see now that's much more straight. It's not perfect, but again, we could sort that out after we've bent it. So using a reference, so let me take the roofs of Annie and Clarabel and just put those to one side. So if I take Annie here, and let me do something, let me move this, and then, so these are also some wheels from a 7-plank truck, 10mm 7-plank, which I'll show you guys in a bit, that I'm also going to be working on, and I plan to do a video on that so you guys can see. It's basically going to be stripping the paint off and kind of then creating a mold of it and eventually repainting it into the actual colors. So again, this needs to be, trying to do it without knocking everything off. So if I put that up there like that, then we've got a good reference for where we need to where I need to drill. And you can see we've kind of got these details, Nanny. I tend to go for on like the corners of the door there. It's hard to tell, and then about halfway up. So for me, I know exactly what it's like now. And the hand drill I find doesn't always work that great. It can create quite a big hole, so I tend to sort of start it off with the hand drill just to mark out where the hole is, and then I'll get a normal like power drill and just obviously very slowly kind of drilling. So this is, let me just double check, this should be the correct drill bit because I used this last time. Yep. So I'm just going to kind of drill out where I think I need to be. In fact, this is this side of the door. Make sure I get the correct side of the door. Yep, there we go. There we go. We've got a clear mark. I tend to find with the hand drill, it's also quite easy to wander with it. So, so that's why I only tend to start it off with a hand drill, then do the power drill. Everything is fine. Thank you for that. I'm also streaming this live on Twitter, so hello to anyone that's watching on Twitter. So I'm just going to mark out now using the hand drill where I want the holes to be, and then we can go through and drill them all. So that's going to be, now I'm actually pressing down and make sure to keep pressure downwards as I'm drilling, so that one, it helps guide the drill bit through the material, but also it stops it from wandering too much. So there we go, we've got a nice clean, I don't know if you can see that, but you can see now we've got nice two kind of clean circular marks, which the drill bit should be able to following nicely. And again, I'm all just doing this by eye, I'm not really measuring too much, but what I will do now is in fact get for the top ones, I will get a ruler and just make sure to try and get them in line as best I can. If they're only like if they're like fractions of millimeters out, you're not really going to see that from your eye. Certainly not far away anyway. So let me again have a look. And the next one is here. I want to make sure I get it in the right place. So, yep. I mean, that was actually slightly too far out, but okay, that's fine. Yeah, see, Clarabel was slightly too far out on the back, but to be fair, I'm not that bothered. There we go. I'll go ahead and do all of these down here. Yeah, because the back one at Clarabel I did on the door rather than to the side, but hey, it's not going to matter that much. Again, no one's really going to notice unless they're really, like, really paying attention to it. You know, and these aren't 100% accurate anyway. And I hope at some point in the future to be able to create molds of the panels for these so that I can build like a set of red coaches. I could even build a set of orange coaches if I wanted to. So yeah. So you can see now I've gone through and done the lines all the way down. So now what I'm going to do is I'm going to grab a ruler. Which is one of the things I didn't grab earlier. So let's see, yep, that'll be good enough length. So we're just going to place it. Again, I'm not 100%. I'm not worrying about it being absolutely perfectly parallel. Like the ruler parallel to the edge of the bottom edge of the coach, but visually, as long as it looks okay, then we'll be fine. One there. One there. Again, I'm being careful not to go too close to the edge, otherwise it will just rip or break through that particular bit of the plastic, which will obviously not be very good. So yeah, that looks okay to me. So now we have marks going all the way down here. And then I'm going to do this side as well. I think I'm going to mark all the holes first, and then I can drill them all, and that will just make things a bit easier. So again, we'll just start from this side, and we'll go into this bottom corner here. And these positionings I did based off the reference photos, so so again, they are kind of mainly done by eye. I'm not really being too precise on measuring, you know, spacing and stuff like that. But as long as they visually look okay from the eye, they should be fine. And I doubt they were 100% perfect in the original show anyway. Okay, so we've now got our... Yep, that's correct. I was just making sure that definitely was correct. So it's all on that side, yep, because the door's open that way. Yep. Which had a quick moment, it's like, oh, did I put it in the wrong place? No, I didn't. It's a little bit tricky because the Clarabel was obviously not perfectly symmetrical. You've got obviously on this side it's going to be on this side of kind of the back bit, but on this side it's on the other side of the door, so it's just a little bit kind of confusing, but there we go. And again, I'm going to kind of come on and about halfway there. There we go. And then use a ruler. And just mark out my holes. There we go. So you should be able to see now. We've got the 4 holes there, and we have the 4 holes this side. So I'm going to turn it over again using the felt to make sure we don't damage anything. We can now turn to the actual power drill. Hey, Dan's joined us. How are you getting on during the current COVID situation? Hope you're safe at home. Been a long while since we've met in Bournemouth. It has been a long time. That's almost a year ago now, which is yeah, gone pretty quick. But yeah, getting on okay, you know, as best as we can. And yeah, I hope you're all safe too, and that you have a good Christmas. As with everyone watching the stream, and hopefully, you know, we can start seeing each other again next year. So my drill. This does need charging up, but it should have hopefully enough charge left for this stream. Just making sure that drill bit hadn't snapped as I took it out, because it kind of just fell out. It's just the grip. So this should grip it, because I have used it in, yeah, I have used it in the drill before. Obviously, you need to be very careful because these are such small drill bits. You need to be careful not to put too much pressure on them, otherwise you'll just snap them. So you should be able to see now. Cool. By the way, love the plastic RTD. Yeah, it's a little glass. I got this for my birthday or Christmas a few years ago now. It's pretty cool. As you can see, it's some of the pattern design is kind of rubbing off slightly, but that's just, you know, general wear and tear. Oh, one thing actually I have got recently, which I can put on stream. So yeah, I now have an Ertl Thomas. This says 1985 on the bottom of it. It does have a serial number, although I can't seem to find any lookup online to, you know, actually verify a proper manufacture date. But yeah, this actually I got recently because unfortunately my nan passed away recently, and as I was going through some of her things, I found this. So I thought I would now be kind of the owner of it, so we can have that. He can be watching over. Hopefully there. Okay, so let's go ahead and start drilling these holes. Again, be very careful. I don't know if you probably can't see it much on stream, but as I'm drilling, you can see the drill bit kind of flexing. So again, I'm just being very, very gentle. Go. Did that go through? There we go. I didn't want it quite slam it down like that, but it's okay. So what I would do is get it sort of to that point and then finish it off with the hand drill. So Yeah. Thank you, Dan. It does take a bit longer than you think to get through. I mean, this drill isn't completely sharp at the end, but because I'm having to go so slow, it takes a while for it to actually get through the material. There you go. And then you can see we've got our 2 holes. So now it's just a case of doing that. Trying not to slam the drill into it. Although, to be fair, I am pulling back, so it may look like it's hitting it a bit harder than it actually is. It's not actually. It looks like it's slamming right into it, but it's not. It's just barely touching it. There we go. If I go a bit quicker, that helps. I will go through afterwards with a hand drill, just to make sure these holes are all completely drilled through. Be careful not to snap this drill bit because I don't have many of this particular size. So I did snap one doing Annie, so I don't want to snap too many because I don't have. I'm not sure how many I have left in here of this kind of size. So this works nicely with the brass because it's sort of it's kind of like a pressure fit, so it's nice, which keeps the helps the glue to keep hold of it. I was being a little bit stubborn, but I'll go through the hand drill with that so I don't damage anything. I'm putting my finger underneath the drill just to, so if it does suddenly pull through, hopefully it doesn't hit the thing. There we go. So we now have one side of all the holes drilled. This drill does like to make funny noises as you go through the different speeds. go. If you have any questions, by the way, feel free to ask them, and I just snapped the job it. I had a feeling that was going to happen because there's only so much flex in it or tape before it starts to go. So the only trouble with using these really thin drill bits. Not to worry, I've got more. I thought it'd be too good to be true to get through to all of them without breaking it. Let's have a look here. It's too big. Try and get one that's the same thickness. You don't want one that's thinner because that'll be even easier to break. That's too big. There we go. You're just going to be extra careful now. How did you learn on how to make your replicas? Well, it was kind of mostly just trial and error, really. I kind of used a lot of the skills that I learned from making Thomas. I realized from that, I'm just watching back the stream, and I realized for most of that you just saw a drill. So apologies for that. I've got the live feed here, and then I've got the delayed feed there, so it's a little bit confusing sometimes. But it was I've been modeling, since I was young, like all airfix things and just plastic model kits, sort of small scale like that, really. So I kind of just used my skills from that, what I'd learned from doing that, um, and then kind of just experimented. Really, I had some experience with 3D printing before I did Thomas anyway, so I kind of knew roughly how to design things and make them, print and work in the real world. So yeah, I just applied my knowledge from that, and it taught me a lot of things. And that was it, really. It was just kind of learning as I go based on what I'd already know, and that was it, really. So there wasn't a so-called kind of single place where I just learned how to do it. It was just I just picked it up on my own, and it's not quite tight. There we go. Oh, that's a way better drill bit. A little bit bigger than what I'd want, but I don't know if there is one that's slightly smaller. Won't be too big of a deal because the glue will hold it in anyway. Um, it's about the same anyway. We'll go with it. We've only got one left anyway. Yeah, I think the other drill bit was a little bit blunt, because that just goes straight through. Okay, there we go. In fact, let me take that drill off. There we go. Put it back in the hand drill. I'm just going to check this side to make sure they've all gone through. This one hasn't, so let's deal with that one. There we go. Whoops. There we go. And we'll just use this to clean out the hole slightly. There we go. So now, yeah, we'll just make sure we can push the brass through all of the holes. As I say, it is very tight tolerance, so it is a pressure fit, which is good because it helps the glue to keep it held in, apart from those ones which are slightly bigger, but it doesn't matter because the glue is going to hold it in. So again, I'm not doing anything, this is all just, what I'm doing here is all just, is all just me. This is all how I do things, how I've learned to do things and trying things. So this isn't, there's no particular right or wrong way of doing things. This is just how I'm doing it. So let's go and start bending our handrails. So I'm just going to take this and we're just going to create a 90-degree bend as best we can. Like that, straightening it out a little bit more. So there we go. And then basically place this in here and use that to then mark out where we want to bend it. And I'd say there, accommodating for the so I want to try and bend it against the plies, because you get, if you see how that curve there, it's got a, that bend there has got a little bit of more of a curve to it than that one. So again, it's not, you're not really going to notice that much aesthetically, but it is nicer to get a sharper curve. I'm just going to trim that down and hopefully that will fit in there, which it does. And then we have one handrail. I'm going to carry on doing the rest of this. So I'm going to, rather than using that as a template for all of the lengths, I'm basically just going to cut a length of wire, roughly, that length, straighten it out, and then bend it as per each of the holes, because each of the holes aren't going to be perfectly the same distance. So it's just easier to do it using the actual holes. So create a 90-degree bend there. And then you want to get the pliers and aim it just past the hole, and then bend that in, give that a trim, and I'll trim up the rest of the wire once it's glued in so that it's nice and flush with the inside. But it's better to give yourself more material to work with, because then you can just cut it down later. Now that is a little bit stubborn and going through. Let's just have a look in case there's anything. Oh no, there we go. It's just a bit of material on the other side. That one is also being a little bit tricky. I'm going to just go through those holes with this drill to try and enlarge them slightly to make it easier for this to go in. Yeah, there we go, perfect. So you can see there's nothing, nothing too precise about this. It's all just based on what I think looks good to the eye. Actually, this slightly bigger drill bit is actually better because it just loosens the tolerance just enough where it makes it easier to get these in. But there's still pressure fit because you've got the slight curve in the wire, which helps keep them held in. There you go. So I'm just going to go through these holes to begin with, just so it makes it easier. You do get a bit of a cleaner hole when you use the hand drill. So, one more on this side. I don't plan on this stream being too long, so definitely no more than 2 hours I'd like to go. So we'll see how far we get, and you'll see the rest on Twitter. So as I mentioned before, this is more of a test live stream than anything, so I plan to do more of these in future. But I'm just seeing how things go, get audience reaction, things like that. Again, I understand there's all different time zones in the world, so I'm trying to pick a time that works for everyone, but I know that's quite tricky, but especially on a Christmas Eve. But hopefully you guys are all enjoying the stream so far. Again, any questions, feel free to ask. This is your stream as much as it is my stream. And there we have handrails. Again, they're not set at the proper distance yet, just because they're not glued in yet, so I don't need to worry too much. It's just so that they're just to make sure they're all correct. So some more wire. Get that, and then we'll bend it round into the hole, which again I'll go through with this drill bit just to make this isn't quite all the way through. There we go. So you can see the power drill gets the hole in there, and then I just use the hand drill to finish it off because it's much easier to drill through with the hand drill once the hole's opened up, rather than trying to drill it all the way through the hand drill, which is possible. It's just with the thickness of this plastic, you'll be there for a much longer time. Excellent. Okay, blow away the excess material. I do want to coat these in a gloss coat at some point as well. Well, a lacquer, I should say, to help protect the paint and seal in those decals, or the vinyl, or the dry transfer. So that'll be done at some point. I probably won't do that though until next year when the weather's warmer, because it's a little bit too cold to be spraying anything right now, and I don't have a suitable place indoors to do it. It's a little bit bent, that handrail, if you can see. So let's just try and straighten that out. Again, use the fingers to bend it, Otherwise you end up putting a kink in it from the pliers. Right, that should be okay. Can you show your 7-plank, please? We're just curious about it. Yep, if you give me one moment, I'll just quickly, we can take a quick break whilst I'll talk about that. So we just put this handrail in and then I'll go and get it. So I wanted to talk about it on stream anyway. It's not quite in there perfect, but you'll see we have a handrail. So let's go and get that 7-plank, shall we? So let's go and switch over to this camera. Hello. And I'll go and grab the 7-plank. So this is my, wow, look at that. We're on the Magic Railroad, boys. Look at that. It's the disappearing coal truck. This is quite hard to do when it's backwards. Whoa. I've got no head. That's actually quite weird. I'm using the because I've got an RTX graphics card, I'm using the new NVIDIA broadcast app, which uses AI to remove the background. So this isn't a green screen. This is just the computer removing the background. And as you can see, it's okay. It does. The lighting isn't great in here, admittedly, so it's probably struggling with that. But next time I have got a studio light, so next time I want to set up a better environment. But I'll switch over to this cam. So this is the 7-plank that I 3D printed years ago. And you can see the similar chassis design in Clarabel. This is using 10mm bits. I haven't really done anything with this since I printed it, other than started to fill in the gap. But this was more of a test than anything. And this was done with my old printer. So the print quality is not as good as if I was to use my, my actual printer that I've got now that I use in Clarabel. So that's just a look at that, just to see what that was like. So I will eventually do something with that, but that's just there for now. And this is the actual 10mm 7-plank, a real one that I bought. This was at the Coventry show, actually. I bought this secondhand. And I've started to strip it down. So I've actually taken off all of the chassis parts. You see there's just 2 buffers remaining, which are a little bit stubborn. Their nuts have been threaded onto the plastic. So I just need to get a thin set of pliers in there to try and hold the nuts steady whilst I gently take them out. But I have got here are wheels from it, which obviously will need stripping down as well, taking all the paint off. So those are the wheels there. I do have the here even. This is all of the like the detailing from underneath, all of the brake gear, things like that, that I very, very gently used a thin knife blade to get in there. Fortunately, with the glue being quite old, most of it was fairly soft, so I just had to get a thin blade in there and very, very gently kind of just pry it away, which you can see. Obviously, you can see the marks there on the paint, those white bits where they were glued. But the actual, I mean, without stripping the paint off, just having a look, the plastic on this 10mm truck, the vacuum formed sides actually look very good condition. The other one I've got has got cracks in it, so I'm hoping that once I've stripped all the paint off, that the plastic underneath will be fairly good. That won't have sort of large cracks or anything in that I'll need to fill in and sand down. Because I hope to basically make a mold of this body, and then I can just cast as many trucks as I need, and we'll use 10 more parts to make up the rest of it. But you can see there's where the buffers are. There were some bits stuck on the inside as well, like bits of polystyrene that I've removed. That's just how it come. I didn't do that. That was just how it come. So I've removed that. So the rest of the marks you see, that's just how it come, general wear and tear. It's just where the decals have cracked and started to chip away. But that's all coming off, so that's not a problem. So that will be a video coming on the channel, which will be me stripping this down, inspecting it, doing any repairs to the vacuum formed plastic if need be, giving it a coat of primer just so to I always find that using primer is a good way to highlight any imperfections or cracks or things that you might miss, especially on white material. It's very hard to notice them on white. So by darkening it up and using a primer, it will highlight any imperfections. And then I can create a mold, cast it to make sure the mold's okay. And then if I'm happy, I can then paint this up into the kind of green and black livery that we see in kind of the classic series, really. But yeah, that's the 10 mil truck, really. So I'll leave that on there. And we've got our own little custom flatbed now. There we go. Look at that. So yeah, I've got there's a bag of bits somewhere which I have got. I can't remember putting there, but I've got all of um the axle boxes, couplings, everything that I took off. Could you potentially show Percy? Would love to see him since I haven't really seen him since the show. Yeah, 3D print looks amazing. In plan releasing the files. So those the 3D printed truck, which I'll bring back into view, just so we're talking about it. So these are actually based off of a 3D files that Tom Props made. So he sent them to me as a test to print. So I don't know. I don't think he's released him yet. I don't know if he has any plans to at the moment. So if you're interested, go and speak to him on Twitter. But yeah, that's the levels. I am working on my own CAD for a 10mm7 blank, based off of that real one. Because it's always nice having the real one to actually measure up and model against rather than some reference photos. So, so yeah, I don't know when that'll be ready, but yeah, I will go and grab Percy then. Let's go and grab both the engines, in fact. Let me do some quick reorganizing here. But for engine the super glue I just use the Gorilla Super Glue Gel. This is the green one. They have a blue and a green gel. The blue one is just regular. The green has got like impact protection, so it's reinforced with rubber, supposedly. How much difference that makes, I don't know, but it's considering it's an extra £2, might as well go for it. And to be honest with you, that's the same glue I used on Thomas, Danny, and Clarabel, and when they fell off, they did not break. So credit to the super glue, it's pretty strong. Tissue supposed to, or any one of the original Steam reference around. Yeah, you can see them up close. So we'll have them both here. Thomas is motorized now, although he's a lot better than what he was. Although he still does, on my particular layout in the garden anyway, he stops going around curves. So I just need to check to see if that's a pickup problem or just a gearing problem. But there we have both of the engines this side. I'm looking at the live feed. Here we go. And his side rods being tweaked. Yep. I've got those side rods. They are sitting, as well as the rest, his pistons and other bits, which are actually up here. To quick grab. Oops. So that's one, which you can see the brass rods in, and then I'm probably going to redo these anyway because the rods, one side works okay, the other side a little bit, I think it's this one. It's not very smooth running, so it jams up a little bit. But I'm going to redo, I think, the attachment method for this anyway because this was more so, just a quick little attachment and method. I did get it ready for the show, but you can actually see when attempting to kind of separate some pieces, I actually snapped off one side of this mount. So that little screw hole is what went screwed through the chassis. So I will show you the construction of Percy. He is currently unscrewed as yes, he is, as it just makes things easier. So let me put Thomas somewhere safe for a minute. Okay. So here is Percy. Let me move these wheels out of the way. We don't need to see those. Ah, they're running away. So I've still got the roof to do. So you can see we've still got the, you can still see the lines on the 3D printing. So let's get rid of some of the dust. There we go. Both Thomas 3D printed, so they are 3D printed. The 3D printed and a combination of some ABS tubing from EMA Model Supplies, which is the same stuff they used originally. So the smoke box of Percy is made from tubing as well as the funnel. Everything else is 3D printed. The buffer beam is a casting from it'll be R78, I believe, the Marklin. And then with actual buffers from Markling as well. So let me just very carefully remove him. I think I unscrewed it. Maybe I didn't actually. Let me just have a quick check. Oh, I did. Yep, I was just double checking that I definitely did. There we go. So this is Percy's body, which, as you see, this decal is that's going. That's being redone. That was just a quick thing I did at the show to try and give him some kind of a number. Again, he's going to be stripped down and completely repainted on the green because the green's the wrong shade. But again, that was just a quick paint job I did to get him ready for the show. So that's just a casting of a face that has the eyeballs built in. Obviously, I'm going to work on getting a proper iMac in there, but that's just a demo face. So there we go. Thank you very much for the kind words there. Nap Terminus. How long did it take you to get Percy where he is now? So the CAD design always takes a few months. So that took me a few months to do. In terms of what you see here, from a bunch of printed parts to this final paint job, took me about 3 weeks. And that was, quite a bit of work to get him that, because we was doing the Bournemouth show, so I basically had 3 weeks to do it. That there was no, if there was overrunning, he wouldn't be ready for the show. He wouldn't have been at the show. But I managed to do it in 3 weeks. To and I'm pretty pleased with the paint job because even though it was a quick paint job, actually, the paints come out a lot cleaner than Thomas, especially with the masking of the lines. So yeah, you can see there the kind of the grey and red divide there is pretty clean. Like there's not really any overspray, which I was pretty pleased with. So that's Percy. Underneath, you can see there what it looks like. You've got the cutout for the gearing, which I need to modify because with his motor in, he catches on the inside of his saddle tank. So I just need to Dremel away a slight bit of material. It's not much, but that is an adjustment I need to make to the CAD before I can release it. He's also using a casting of a bit off a I think that's a 10mm casting, I think that there. But yeah, and see these 4 screws. So these 4 screws actually hold the body onto this running plate. So this whole green bit you're seeing, so everything above the running plate, these are just double-sided taped on, so they come off. But the actual, green part of Percy is just screwed on. So I can just undo these 4 screws. This whole thing lifts off from the running plate, and then that allowed me to paint him separately to the running plate and get a really clean paint job, because then I didn't have to worry about masking it up like I did with Thomas. But it also means that I can take him off, give him a complete strip of the paint, and then I might just paint over it. It depends. It might be better doing a strip down, but yeah, I can then spray him a different color. And then that is a copy of the Marklin lamps they used originally. That was actually a CAD done by me. That was purely based off of photos of the models, of some shots from the show. So yeah, and that does accommodate an actual LED. And then yeah, so that's Percy, and that is his chassis, which is just a Markling BR80 chassis, as what they used originally, cut down. So it's just a cut of either end, and then you can see we've cut into here. It's not cut exactly the same as what they did originally, because they cut bits and then joined it together. I didn't want to do that. I just wanted to do a simple cut, so it works. And then I just drilled a new hole for this for the front axle, and you see there's a brass insert there where the chassis basically had a gap there. So we used the brass insert to make a hole for the axle. And yeah, so I've got the original Markling motor, everything for it, which all fits in there. I need to work on the pickups, so that's the next thing, because it's not the standard Markling spacing. The existing pickups won't fully go across all of the wheel, so that I need to just modify that. But yeah, that is Percy, and then he just basically has there is a screw hole. Where is it? So again, this is difficult because it's backwards for me. There's a screw hole at the back, and then there is one at the front. And so there is 2 holes on the chassis where they screw through. Well, bolts come through, and there's a nut that holds it in place. So yeah, and that is Percy. As for Thomas, he's not screwed on yet. I need to work on the mounting system for him, but there's Thomas's body. Again, decaled the number. That's going to be replaced with something better. I need to do a little bit of repair work on the buffers where some of the paint's chipped, but that's easy enough. I can just take that out, strip it, and respray it. Again, same Markling lamp. That does have a light bulb in there, which will light up. That is a red LED. Then, yeah, 10mm buffers, Markling coupling. Fake colloid, I made that myself. I just bought some like miniature coal off eBay, and then just basically use the chunks and glued it onto a bit of styrene, which just inserts, so I can pull that out, so it's not fixed in there, which makes it easier to work on, to service. Yeah, again, this is EMA tubing for the boiler. His face, which this is the face for the iMech, but I've just got the eyes blue tacked in there for now, so that because the iMech isn't actually in there yet, as you'll see. So we've got his radio receiver at the back, and these 2 wires was what the servos connect to. These are some extension wires because the servos weren't quite long enough to reach to the back, so they actually make it a bit easier to plug in and out anyway. So there's that. The aerial just gets tucked down the side there. You'll see there's 2 bits of Velcro on either side. That's where the battery pack's attached to. And then the actual iMac itself. So you can see some of the tubing there. You can see that. You can just see the there's the bar for the iMac. It just doesn't have the servos in there. So you can see there the construction of the tubing. You can see there it's a tube that's got bits cut out of it. Hello there, Average Thomas fan. So I could probably no the yeah, the eyes are fixed in there at the moment, so I can't move them. But yeah, but that's the next stage, just get the iMac properly working as well. But that's Thomas's body. And then that's his chassis with the Markling wheels, and then it's a motor from MSC models. So you can see there's it is hot glued in place at the moment whilst I'm still, testing it out and making adjustments. The hot glue is just easier to make those adjustments rather than permanently fixing it in and having to change it. So that's what the motor looks like and the chassis. And we've got some pickups in there on the, which you can just see there, the plunger pickups. I did originally use Slater plunger pickups, which are O gauge ones, but they weren't quite good enough. They didn't. The springs in them are very easily kind of, if you compress them too much, they very easily kind of sort of get a bit ruined and bent. You can actually see there the face is blue tack's coming slightly loose, but there we go. So I switched over. I just found some plunger pickups on eBay, which are much bigger and they've got much more powerful springs, and they're perfect. They work fine. The Slaters didn't quite make enough contact, but I need to sort out the whistle on Percy. But yeah, those are the 2 replicas. I think I might have answered this before, but what projects should I plan future? There's just lots of comments, so I'm just having a look. Did you mix custom paint for the 2 of them, or was it off the shelf paint? So they are off the shelf paint. I'm just trying to work out because it says you commented that on YouTube. Oh no, there we go. I think it was just delayed my end because I couldn't see it, but there we go. So this is just off the shelf paint. The color for this is using High Coat RAL 5012, which is a standard color blue, but I find it works really well for Thomas. The greys you see on Thomas and Percy, that's just, to me, a light grey fine primer. The red is High Coat Post Office Red. The yellow is High Coat Double A Yellow. Double A is a brand in the UK of like car recovery, car breakdown repair, that kind of thing. So they have a particular yellow for their branding, and I just find that yellow actually works quite well for Thomas. It looks a little dark in person, but actually once you get it under the proper lighting, it does look the correct color. It's just the lighting in this room is a bit dark, but the Percy, the green on that was Plastico, and I think that was called April Green, I think it was. Which is a little bit too bright, but it was the closest I could find at the time. There is actually a Rust-Oleum color that I think is going to be a better shade that I'm going to try and get hold of and strip him in that. And then High Coat Black as well, gloss black. So yeah, that is that. What projects do you have planned for the future? Well, I have, as well as so we've got the 10mm trucks, the 7-plank trucks. I've got a like a box van type thing to build. I've got a brake van I want to build as well, which I have all castings for from 10mm kits. In terms of engines, I'm currently working on Edward, Duck, and Oliver, the CAD for that. Um, I think the next engine that I will actually start building might be Edward, possibly Duck. It depends which one's kind of going to be ready first CAD wise. Um, so yeah, as well as Toby, of course. So Toby, I do actually have a body printed, but it's the dimensions aren't right, and I've got a better construction method that I'm gonna use, so I'm gonna redo Toby anyway. Um, Merry Christmas from Kevin Dukes. Thank you very much. Merry Christmas to you too. I hope everyone watching does have a good Christmas. And yeah, I hope everything is all good. So we have, yeah, that was a quick talk. Well, I say quick. That was a talk about Thomas and Percy. Um, so yes, I will go and quickly just put these back for now. And then we can do a little bit more work on Clarabel. Just noticed actually that's some of the weights have just fallen off of Annie, which is interesting. So I'll have to put those back at another time. But yeah, let's continue. So that was that side, wasn't it? So let's. Oh no, that was that side. So yep, let's continue with doing this, and then I think we will wrap it up there. Um, so we can get these in, and we can get these fixed in place. So we're going to trim that. Excellent. Just going to trim 2 bits here. That should be enough. Straighten it out. Thanks again for showing them off, no problem. I've also got, as well as the iMac to sort in Thomas and get him fully motorized so that he won't have any more teething troubles. Get the LEDs working, so he's going to have a working LEDs and smoke mech as well, smoke unit in there. So that'll also be something to work on, which is going to be all, the LEDs will be powered off the same battery that's used for the RC system, but they'll have different switches in him so that I can turn on and off the um, smoke mech, the iMech, and the LEDs all independently of each other. Again, my hope is to get a resin 3D printer so that I can print my own headlamps, because the one I've got there at the moment was just done on my regular printer, so they aren't as nice as the resin ones. Excellent. So bend that in there. Use the pliers and then bend. Straighten it up. Cut that. Excellent. So there's some more handrails on there. I think what I'm going to do now is switch back over to this side, and I'm going to start gluing these handrails in. So this one, for here. Now the spacing needs to be a little bit less than that. Let's just get my drill in there and drill that out. There we go. That should now go in there a lot better. There we go. About right. So what I'm going to do actually is I'm going to open up this super glue, and I'm going to get my I did have a set of cocktail sticks here which I've moved and don't know where I put them now. That's one of the wheels escaping. There we go. I know where they are. So this will allow me to. The great thing about using this super glue gel as opposed to normal super glue is it's much less runny. So it allows you to hold things in place easier, but also be a bit more precise about where you're gluing. So just give this a quick shake. Excellent. So that's all now out. It's a little bit harder to get out than normal super glue because it wants to stick inside the thing. Do this with the other hand because it'll be easier. Come on. There we go. There's a little bit of glue stuck in there. Excellent. So now I just want to grab a dab in there and a dab in there. Being careful not to get it on the paint because it will take the paint off. Excellent. And then I'll just put a couple blobs inside. So that's that. This next one. These ones will need trimming down. Just make sure we can fill them in. Yep. So again, just the same as I did before, we're just going to get this just like to. This is supposed to be an anti-clog nozzle, but it does still get clogged up. Oh, there we go. Just needed to shake it up. Don't need a whole lot of glue on here, but there we go. We have another one glued in. And then I'll just trim off the insides. Nice and flush. Quite want that much glue, but okay. Because the windows have got to go back on, so that's going to affect the windows. Next one. Excellent. Double glue there and a double glue there. And the thing with this Gorilla Glue as well is it actually goes off pretty quick, so you've got to be pretty quick about when you put something in there. It's going to get stuck in a few seconds if you're not careful. Excellent. Okay, and then the next one. Excellent. There we go. I'm just going to give that a few minutes to, well, say a few minutes, a few seconds just to grab because that's in a slightly looser fitting hole. Yep, those have all stuck. Those all grabbed nicely. I can't pull them out. Give a few more minutes for that, a few more seconds for that to go off. So that's the great thing about working with the gel stuff. Is it allows you to kind of get it onto the end of a stick or a scrape or whatever you're using to apply, and just kind of work it into the area you need, and it will just sit there. It won't try and run away like normal super glue. And this Gorilla stuff is strong and pretty quick setting. So I do have super glue activator as well. So if I need something to instantly bond, I have got some activator which will just give it a good old kick. Yep, that's stuck, which is good. So there we have one side of handrails. So now I need to do the other side, which I will prop up using this as not to disturb the handrails we've just done. Again, that hole's not quite all the way through. This is slightly not bent, slightly bent out of shape. There we go. These are slightly bigger holes, so those are a bit easier to get in there. Ah! Got glue on the bit I didn't want to. Fortunately, if you get it off quick enough, it won't have time to affect the paint, which is good. Right, and then we go. Yeah, that looks all right. Give that again just 10 seconds or so to properly grab. It's a little bit of there's a little stain on the paint there, but that's no problem. That can easily be touched up with a brush anyway. I'm going to grab a fresh one. So that it doesn't have all glue on the end that it will get stuck to. Those are all right. To use a different hammer for that because that slightly doesn't quite fit in that set of holes. Might be this top one actually needs drilling out a little bit. Excellent, there we go. In the hole. In the hole. Try not to glue my hands together. There we go. Excellent. We'll move on to the next one. There we go. More glue. You can see, but there's just a tiny amount of glue on that. And you'll be surprised actually just how little glue you do need. There we go. I can already feel that that's grabbed on there. And there we have another set of handrails. So if you look down there, they're all pretty much equally the same distance from the edge of the coach. Same there. And yeah, I think I was going to start painting the insides, but I might leave that for now. I mean, there's not much you're going to be able to see from a streaming point of view anyway. In fact, what I will do though is I'll clean up the insides of these. Now that the glue's had time to settle in there. Excellent. And I have got in here, here's a load of seats for them. So these will need cleaning up. And if I just put a couple in here right now. What it's going to look like. Let me get a bit, because that needs a bit of a clean up. This one will. Oh, yeah, there we go. It's that handrail's just catching on it, so that'll need a bit of trimming up. But there we go. You can see that's what the seats would look like once inside. So these are all just cast from a 3D printed shape, which again was based on the actual 10mm. Whoops, I knocked the microphone again. 10mm seats from the original kit. So yeah, I think we might just call it there for today's stream, I think. But yeah, so if I just put that on, get one of the roofs. You can see now Clarabel now has her handrails. Where's the lid for my glue? Where did I put that? On the floor. But there we go. We switch back to the main screen. So yeah, that was a Christmas Eve live stream doing some work on Annie and Clarabel. I did the handrails, which was good. I'm gonna go away and paint the things off stream because I'll need to get a thinner brush for that anyway. That's going to take some time to do. So yeah, so thank you to everyone that's watching, that has watched. This will be available to watch on the channel straight after it's streamed. You'll be able to watch it as a recorded video. It will remain up there. I've got a recording mine, which I might play around with some time lapses, maybe do a quick edit on the channel for possibly. But yeah, thank you for everyone for watching. I hope you all had a good Christmas. Hope you will get everything from Santa that you want. And yeah, I've got a couple bits to do my end just to get ready for tomorrow. And yeah, the Twitter will stay up to date as usual with everything. So you won't miss anything. There'll be a video coming on that 10mm truck, so look out for that. And yeah, there'll just be videos on future projects hopefully as well. So thank you to everyone that's watching. I'm going to sign off now, and yeah, stay tuned and see you next time. Any more questions, feel free to ask them on Twitter. Just tag me, and yeah, I'll be happy to answer them. So thank you all, and stay tuned, and farewell.